welcome back to my channel, and this is today when I try to predict or give you my predictions for the Man Booker Prize 2020 winner. The announcement comes in 5 days, I suppose, 4 days, 5 days, 5 days on 19th November. And and this is going to go live on 15th November, although I'm pre-filming this. So that's that. So this is how the video is going to flow. I have copied the list from the official website itself. I have followed their order, and I'm going to go through all the books, and I'm just going to tell you what are they about if you've not read them yet, and I'm just going to tell you how I felt about the book. Those are my personal feelings. The next one's going to be my favorites out of these 6 books. Then I'm going to talk about the Booker preferences. So timestamps in the description box, check them out, or you have like chapter breaks over here as well. So let's get started. Okay, so let's get on with the list on the website. So the first one on the list is The New Wilderness by Diane Cook. The New Wilderness is about a mother-daughter relationship, and it is set in the backdrop of climate change in a world where the cities are super polluted and people cannot live there, and people have to move to the wilderness for actually survival, like for actually surviving this whole situation. I didn't like this book. It's a bad book. I did give it 3.5 stars though, for some apparent reasons, but I did not like this book. And I think the major problem with the book is, first thing, it's marketed as a climate change book, but there's nothing climate changey about it. Like, it just refers to the climate change in the city, but it does not emphasize on climate change for that matter. And I think the whole phrase climate change was simply used to attract people towards the book, and that was like real bad marketing, because eventually I think people got misled, like me, like I got misled, and I didn't like it. So also, one more thing is that the editing is pretty bad. The actual book only starts after 3/4 of the book. Like the first 10-20% is okay. The parts in the middle are like, what just happened? And then the part in the end is good as well. So basically, it's, I think, a 400-page book could have easily become a 250 or 300-page book as well. So badly edited, super misleading, I think. I mean, for people like me who just listen to like marketers apparently. Anyway, forget it. Let's move on. The next one is This Movable Body by Tsi Tangaremba. So in this one, this is the 3rd book in the Nervous Condition series, and it talks about how our lead character, Miss Sigwake, is kind of getting out of the war that she was in the first 2 books. Now, I have to give this book the benefit of the doubt, because I read this as a standalone and I did not read the first 2 books, but I really like I like reading the standalone though, and I liked the book. I gave it, I think, 4.5 or 4.7 stars. I really enjoyed reading it, and it mainly like talks about Zimbabwe and like the whole I would say how people, like, it kind of is a reflection on how there's this disparity in the economy per se, between the city and the rural areas and stuff like that. So how our lead character is trying to make a living so that she can fend for people in her village, if that makes sense. So it's an interesting story, and it's better if you read the first 2 books, of course, and then read this one. Don't do what I did, but yeah, reading this as a standalone, I liked it like anyway as well. So that's that. The next one is Burnt Sugar by Avni Doshi. This is also, like, the other title is Girl in White Cotton, but I realized that it's not Girl in White Cotton that's like been nominated for the Booker. Technically, it's been Burnt Sugar that's been nominated for the Booker. So this book is again about a mother-daughter relationship. It talks about Antara and Tara, and how the mother was a very bad mother, and how the daughter is like reminiscing all of these things and telling us about all the bad things that she faced in her childhood. And it's just that now her mother has been diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and it's just that she's very confused whether she should take care of her mother, because when she was a kid, her mother never took care of her. And it's a nice book. I loved it. I ended up giving it 4 stars. I really, really, I would say, like this, especially because I find Avni Doshi to be an earlier version of Salman Rushdie. Because when I was reading the book, I just felt like, oh, this is like Salman Rushdie's writing, or like these are like Salman Rushdie's plots. So I think I like Salman Rushdie as an author, and I really like this book as well because of the same reason. So the next one is The Shadow King by Maza Mengiste. This book is about the Ethiopians, how the people of Ethiopia fought against Mussolini's men when they tried to invade and colonize Ethiopia. And it mainly talks about the role of women at war, because generally it's like the male soldiers that get a lot of credit for it, and women are not considered to be someone who is like, good at combat. But this kind of book kind of like is inspired by the true events of the author's life itself. So that's that. I love this book a lot. I think many people don't like this book because there is an exaggerated part in it which involves an Italian soldier. But I really like this book a lot, and I think more than the Booker, if Maza Mengiste was an American author, this would have been more apt for a Pulitzer Prize than a Booker Prize somewhere. And yeah, I mean, it's not like I'm dismissing this. I really love the book a lot, but I think this is a bit different than the Booker type winning books generally. So those are my thoughts on this book. The next one is Shuggie Bain by Douglas Stewart. This book is again about like a mother-child relationship. Over here the child is a male, so it's a mother-son relationship, and how the mother is an alcoholic because of a lot of reasons, and how the son is surviving. It's a beautiful story. Excuse me. It's a beautiful story. I really love this. I mean, I didn't love this book. I like this book a lot, but I think my only complaint with the book was that it was like super slow, like super slow. Like for me, it was slow. I don't think it was slow for everybody, but I think somewhere this book also kind of talks about bad parenting, and it also talks about situations that whatever the parents go through, the kids go through the same thing, but like 10 times more magnified. And I really like the book for that particular message. But again, my complaint is with the pacing of the book, because the book could have been paced much better than it was basically. Anyway, moving on to the next book, and that is Real Life by Brandon Taylor. This book is about Wallace, who is actually, I think, a postgraduate student in a Midwestern university in the US, and he's a black gay man, and the story is kind of set in a set number of weeks, I think over a week, and it talks about how he is trying to like survive, and how he's trying to reflect on his life and his past trauma, and more importantly how he's trying to fit in on some level and be philosophical. I really like this book. It's a good book shortlist in my opinion. I really like this book a lot, simply because this is like the new age Booker winners on some level. It kind of is like a nice, I would say it's a good competitor. Okay, so that being said, let's move on to my favorites. So I'm just going to rate my favorites as per the I'm just going to give you my favorites in no order. I don't have any preferences, because I've selected 3 of my favorites from this list of 6. So my preference is the first. This is in no particular order, so for first, second doesn't matter basically. So my first favorite in this list was The Shadow King by Maza Mengiste, because of the feminist values and because of the whole vibe of the book. I really liked it, and I for the part of the Italian soldier, for those who've read it, I like that part as well, because I think the author was trying to be a bit more, I would say, like she just didn't want like one side of the story to come out. She wanted like the other side to be there as well, if that makes sense. And that's why she added that. So I didn't have a problem with the exaggerated part per se. So that's that. The next book that I really loved is Real Life by Brandon Taylor. I really love this book. I normally don't like philosophical books, but then this book kind of made me think about certain things. The only problem with the book is that at certain bits it's pretty superficial, the philosophy is superficial, and there are times when Wallace does not dig deep into himself for that matter. But I really loved what the book attempted to do and how it was written. I think the writing style of the book is the winner here, because having read, so this Brandon Taylor is from the Iowa Writers Workshop, and he's my second writer from the Iowa Writers Workshop. And in my opinion, the writers who come from this workshop are like great at writing. I love their writing style. It's not for everybody, but if you like narration writing over plotting, pacing, stuff like that, then the Iowa Writers Workshop group is a very good place to go to. Anyway, that being said, my third favorite is Burnt Sugar by Avni Doshi. I really love this book a lot. I think especially it's because it's close to home. It's set in the city of Pune in India, and it basically talks about a lot of stuff that it's actually kind of like taboo on some level, because when you talk about a mother-child relationship, especially one that is set in India, there's a lot of, I would say, unseen rules and regulations that come along with it. Like there's even institutionalized misogyny that we see in the society, and it's very interesting because all of these values that Indians generally stand for, the book is exactly opposite the same, and that's why many Indians don't like the book in general. So, but I loved it because it kind of showed like a very good contrasting picture in general, and also this is fiction, and it's a well written fiction as well. So these are my three favorites. Now let's go to the book of references and what I think. So this is what I did. I kind of like made like collected a few points, and I was like thinking about it, and this is what I think. Number one thing, the Booker Prize winner would be a person of color, because as per the observation, like during the shortlist, one of the major things that the judges stated was that we wanted diversity, and there's a lot of stuff going on in this world. So basically, we need this whole thing, I would say, just sorted out, if that makes sense. And right, but the Booker is trying to promote diversity, and that's their first aim. And in my opinion, the Booker is not only a literary prize, it is also a prize which is very politically driven or a bit diplomatic on some level, because they want to select good winners as per the changing world. So there are no gatekeepers per se, but there is this whole gatekeeping mechanism where they're like, okay, you know what, if you want to select a winner, let's consider diplomacy, let's consider a bit of politics, and let's see what's going on in the world, and as per that we will give our audience a winner. I don't think it's a bad thing, but I do think it's not an ideal one. It's not an ideal situation, but that's how things are, and that's how they come across as. Anyway, that being said, the second point being that, since I said it's going to be a colored winner, I think that the shortlist kind of is overpowered by people of color, and it would be a bit of a difficult choice, especially because they want to cover colored people from 3 continents. So over here, the colored authors are Tsitsi Dangaremba, Avni Doshi, Maza Mengiste, and Brandon Taylor. So Maza Mengiste, Tsitsi Dangaremba are from Africa. Avni Doshi is from the US, but then she's a person of color and she's like Indian American. That's that. And Brandon Taylor is a black person, a black author from America. So that's that. So considering all of these factors, these are my top 3 preferences, or top 3. Okay, let's start from the third one. Okay, so the third possible winner. Okay, so it's like the first possible winner is like the winner maybe, but the third possible winner of the Booker Prize would be This Moonable Body by Tsitsi Tangaremba. So this is like third in the list. This is like the least expected, if you can say, like out of the good books. The reason I selected this is because first thing, the author is involved in quite a few protests, and she was arrested recently after her Booker Prize shortlist announcement as well, in order to protest, because she protested against the Zimbabwean government. So that's the first one. So that's like political statement, as well as like there's a bit of diplomacy involved there, because the Booker wants to kind of maybe make a statement. That's why. I hope this video doesn't end up being controversial because I said all of this stuff, but this is reality, right? I mean, that's what I understood. This is reality. You cannot help it. Anyway, and also I think that since Nevis Conditions, I think it was longlisted for the Booker. Also, the second book was not shortlisted, longlisted, or it was not like, it did not win. This being the last book in the trilogy, I think this does have a chance somewhere, because maybe the Booker will finally be like, okay, we've never maybe given a Zimbabwean author a Booker Prize, so let's just give a Zimbabwean author a Booker Prize. So that may be like the most easy one out there. The next one that I do think that does have a chance of winning the Booker is Burnt Sugar by Amni Doshi, and this is like the second preference, second choice, which I think the Booker would select. I'm going for Burnt Sugar, especially because it's the safest option in the list. It is 100% Booker. It's like 100% Booker book. It's like Salman Rushdie or Arundhati Roy books that have won in the past, and more importantly, it's just a good book. And also, it is set, in a country that, I don't know, Britishers colonized. So maybe, but anyway, this is a nice book. I think this would be for sure one of the choices that they would consider when they are sitting and selecting the winner. Now, my first preference, like the preference on top is, I think it's like my first choice that I think that would have more probability of winning the Booker, and that is Real Life by Brandon Taylor. So it was a tough choice, right? Because I was very confused on what to select or on what to take. I think Real Life would win the Booker, because first thing, as of like 2013-14, when they actually opened the Booker to any novel written in English, Americans kind of started winning the race more often, and this thing is a major shift, because earlier the book was only open to the Commonwealth nations, but now since it's open to the people from, I don't know, all over the world, the Americans have taken over, and there have been a lot of American winners in the past, I would say, few years, or more importantly, more winners, from that side of the world as well. So I think Brandon Taylor, being a black person and a US citizen, and considering the trend of Booker in general, I think they would go for this particular book. Also, that being said, the book in itself is like a refreshing take on like recent philosophies and all of this stuff that's going around us, and it's more like a modern take on diversity and things that are going around us, right? And although the book may be a bit superficial on some level, I do think it kind of triggers that kind of conversation about race in general, about privilege in general, and that's why the second reason I think this would be a good option. And the third thing being this, that it's just a book which is very philosophical, and considering the winners that have been in the recent past, not that I've read a lot of like winners in general, but then looking at the blurb, I kind of understand the books can be philosophical at times, or kind of like a reflection of oneself, and this book is kind of a reflection on oneself 100%. So that's that. Those are my predictions. Now there's no wager here. If like nothing out of this list wins, I'm not going to do anything, okay? So don't get too excited about it. But yeah, let's just recap. My third preference is This Mournable Body. My second preference is Burnt Sugar, and my first preference is Real Life. So I think one of these three would be a book winner. The first priority being Real Life, second priority being Burnt Sugar, and third priority being what happened? This Mournable Body. So yes, that's it. This is the end of the 20-minute video where I actually kind of predict the winners. I think the winner would be out of these three books, and I really hope it would be, because I love to be proved right. Thank you so much for watching this video, and if you like this video, please consider subscribing, liking, because I do a lot of bookish content. I normally don't say this, but then I think this is a very special video that I'm adding this into it. But yeah, if you like my content, consider subscribing. I would be very encouraged by the support that you give me. Thank you so much. I'll see you in my next video. I hope it would be a book reaction video where I'll be like, oh, you know what? I'm reacting to the book winner. Yay. Okay, it may not be, but let's see. Anyway, I'll see you next time. Bye. Bye.